So we're presenting our project, which is US Obesity Analysis, and myself, the data analyst, Omoike Loki, our author, RIMPA, September 26th. The task done was finding more data because after we should started for this project. And our third status report, and the task done was we cleaned the data set. There was difficulty in cleaning the data set. And at the end of the day, we use univariant on the outline pose a challenge. And the solution was that we were able to have the variant. That's the structures on the data set. And the challenge we faced is that we found a complex. And continue from here.
Asset into Python, and then we use the Python script to clean the data compared to the size of the script. Like every here we can see that the box plot of diabetes total have most outliers, same for the inactivity total and same for the obesity total. So we can easily see all the outliers using perform bivariate analysis, in which we compared. So here we have compared obesity percent and diabetes percent, and see we can see that the graph shows us the relation between these two columns. It's like a linear regression, so it's related to each other. Here we can see the box plot of every of the states, like which states have more outliers, like in respect to obesity percent. After doing bivariate, we perform the multivariate analysis. Here we perform the pair plot, in which we have compared every single column with each other. So here we can see each of the graphs, and then we compared we perform the heat map to see the relation between these columns. So here we can see some of the values, like some are negative and some are positive. So positive means they are related to each other highly, and if it is negative, like they are opposite to each other. So after visualizing some of these columns, we can see that these columns are not very are relevant to our analysis. So we drop them using Python script, and here we can see that all the columns which we don't need are already dropped. I'll hand over to my colleague for it.
Yes, I am. So, thank you, AJ. So, this is talking about the visualization. We had to visualize the data. The most important part for us to find out in this data is what are the things that affect and increase or show the likelihood that obesity will occur. So taking a population and then reviewing certain data like the diabetes data and inactivity data to tell us if they are related to obesity. Seeing how the world right now has gone more digitalized and most jobs require that people sit down for long hours in offices, it is understandable that obesity is on the rise, because that inactivity of just sitting down day in, day out, is leading more to the prevalence of obesity. And I know that is not the only factor, but we can see from our visualization here that inactivity is highly linked to obesity. Next slide, please. So our challenges and some of the solutions we have used so far. At about week 3, we found out that we were running behind. We had some unexpected challenges that came up. For instance, like our data analyst said earlier, one of our programmers and coordinator actually left, and then we couldn't do so many parts of the job without that. That was one of the challenges that caused us to fall back. Another challenge that also caused us to fall back was our data. Our data was not giving us quite what we wanted to see. We couldn't compare the different challenges, so we really had to go and look for more data so that the analysis can be somewhat wholesome, right? So those were part of the challenges that caused us to fall behind on our work. What we actually decided to do at that time was to extend the deadline of the project. So we extended the project timeline to be able to accommodate the challenges that we came about. Next slide, please. So our current recommendation for the present phase of the project now is we're assessing continuously. We're assessing the impact of the circumstances that happened in the past, and we are making adjustments to both our work plan, to our schedules, to our meeting schedules, to be able to adjust and accommodate any other unexpected circumstance. So we have increased our communication. We now communicate both via email. We have our weekly team meetings. We communicate on the phone from time to time, just to make sure that we keep the project on schedule, and anybody who has any issue with any part of the project can easily communicate that area, so it can be handled fast to make sure we keep the project on the timeline. Next slide, please. And for our budgeted hours, for the entirety of the project, we expected that we will spend about 68 hours. This basically includes the hours we spend on our meetings, the hours we spend on our visualization, and I'm sure some of these hours our programmer used it to run the programming that you just saw. And then we estimated about $2,040 for the whole project. We estimated that, but as at now speaking, we have done about 50 hours of work on this project, and it has cost about $1,500 so far. So we are trying to ensure that we not only stay within our timeline, but we also stay within our budget, so we do not exceed the budget. Now, the budgeted hours. This is a screenshot of our SharePoint MRP SharePoint link showing our timesheets. Excuse me. So as you can see, we have our timesheets from different days. We have shown the requirement phase, our data research phase, the initial data presentation to the project sponsor, the data cleaning and EDA phase, data development phase. We are showing our MRP SharePoint site as at present, and we are still in the development phase. Next slide, please. So for the recommendation for the next 18 hours, that's the amount of hours we have left, the next 18 hours of work, we'll evaluate the rest of the project, what we have to do, evaluate what has been done, and then we will be able to plan, and we'll be able to prioritize what tasks we should do and how we should do those tasks and in what time we should do them. We're doing this to make sure that the most important tasks are given the time that they need, while the least important tasks we can always take time from them or rush them or reassign whatever task is not important at the moment. And also this will help us to stay on budget, because that's really important for our sponsor, that we stay on the budget. So we are hopeful that with our planning and prioritizing of tasks, we'll be able to deliver this project on time and within the budget that we have allocated for it. Thank you very much for listening to our presentation, and we hope we've been able to enlighten you on our progress so far.